right, so this is the yoke, which is like your steering wheel in your car, except you're controlling it in a few axes. So,
and we have two here, right? We have two.
yeah, yep. So this is why it's a good trainer. You got two. Either pilot in either seat can fly the airplane.
Okay.
And down here are your rudder pedals. We'll talk about those in a minute. But your yoke will make you turn left and right. And if you look out here at the very end of the wing, you see that piece moving right there?
Oh yeah.
That is your aileron. So if you're turning left, I'm sorry, if you're turning right, your left aileron is going to be coming down, which produces more lift on that wing. It raises this wing and it starts the turn. And then you keep coordinated with your rudder pedals. It's kind of like a race car going around a racetrack, and you have that real steep embankment, so you don't slip or skid. You keep your rudder pedal coordination in there, and that's what this little indicator here shows you. Make sure you keep that ball in the center, and that keeps you coordinated in your turn, so you're not skidding or slipping around. If you pull back on it, that raises the elevator, which is on the back of the airplane.
Oh yeah.
Raises and lowers. So that makes you go up and down. And so that you want to climb.
So when you're going to land,
turn.
you pull it.
So when you come into land, typically you set yourself up on a nice stabilized approach. You'll nail your airspeed. You'll use your throttle here. You'll set your RPMs, and which are right down here. And each airplane is different, but like say you come around and you're at the 1700 RPMs, and maybe you pull it back to 15. You do what's called a pattern, and as you come into land, you start adding your flaps. As your speed comes into range, you add your flaps, and as the flaps extend and you get a nice stabilized approach, you've nailed your airspeed, and you come down, and then basically you have it trimmed out, which is what this little wheel here will do, to where you hardly have to do much with pressure on it, and it'll come down an approach or a glide path, and then to the runway. And then as you get down at the very last moment, you will pull this back and get the airplane slowed, and you'll touch your main wheels. You'll touch your main wheels first and hold your nose off the ground, and then you'll gently let your nose down with your yoke.
Okay.
So,
Oh, nice.
it's easy as that.
Well, thank you again, Mike. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you. You're on.
Okay, so the rudder pedals. Getting back to the rudder pedals, you have a left and a right, and at the very top of the pedals, I'll move my hand so you can see it move. You use your toes to push, and that's what stops the airplane. There's your brakes. So you have a left brake and a right brake.
So you have two.
So they're
Okay.
individual.
Individual.
And that's for when you're
for each
taxiing.
tire. Let me see if we can see the brakes here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See that caliper? See that?
It's like the car.
Just
right?
like a car.
Just like a car.
Yeah, it just squeezes on the.
Okay.
And then but this also connected with it is the rudder pedals. The rudder itself, which you talked about staying coordinated, is when you start a turn, you might need to put a little rudder in as well as you come around the corner, and that's just like a rudder on a ship. You can see it on the very back of the airplane. I don't know if it's moving or not. Probably not.
I hear something, but yeah.
I'll go back there real quick. So you have left and right. So as you push that pedal, it'll move this rudder left and right. This one doesn't operate fully because it's in maintenance right now.
Okay.
But that's the rudder.
Good.
Okay, so this is a rare look of the airplane without an engine on it. So you can see some of the components are attached to the firewalls. We talked about the rudder pedals a moment ago. The rudder pedals control the rudder in the back, but they also steer the nose wheel. And that's what these little actuator arms that are coming down here. So as you're pushing that rudder pedal, it's steering this nose wheel. That's to help you maneuver on the ground. As you come up this way, this is called a gasculator. This is the lowest point in the fuel system. It comes down from both tanks, and we showed you that selector going to both. They feed into this gasculator, and then if there's any water in the system, this is another place to catch it. But this is one of the lowest places in the system. It feeds right from here right to your carburetor or your fuel injection system. Coming up here, you guys recognize that's a battery, and then we have.
Small one.
Yeah, it's just a small battery.
Wow. Okay.
Aviation batteries are small and expensive. Over here is an oil cooler. So you have the oil from your engine that gets cycled through this oil cooler. It's got tape on it here, but basically there's a duct that comes down, or a hose, and your air flows in over top the engine, and then a small portion of it runs down and through this oil cooler, then out the bottom. As that air circulates around these fins that the oil's going through, that cools the oil before it returns to the engine. What else? And tachometer cables. You have, this is your air duct to go into the cabin for heat. It comes off your exhaust. And then you have your basically electrical components, starter solenoids, all that jazz. So, but yeah, it's a nice.
What about the wings? You told me something about the wings.
All right, so the wings, as you can see, they're all opened up. Same thing, inspection panels. Right here is that spar we talked about, and you can it probably can't see up in there, but it's kind of a solid, kind of an I-beam going all the way out that wing. And there's one in the front and there's one in the back there.
That's it.
This here is a vent that comes in right to the cockpit that you can open up and allow as much airflow as you want to keep you cool. This does not have air conditioning, so you definitely want airflow. This is the wing strut that we talked about earlier to support the wing. Wings produce the lift of the airplane, so that's what makes the airplane. You have your thrust produced by your engine, and then as the air flows over this airfoil, it creates lift, which allows you to fly. So it's all about pressures. So
Interesting. Okay.